All right. So a little bit about this thing we call, everybody can see my screen, right? The slide that says work and water. Okay. So a little bit about the work and water program. 4 or 5 years ago, we applied for an EPA Region 7 environmental education grant and to develop this program. And then 2 years later, we applied for a grant from the environmental education grant from EPA to expand this program. So we started out just developing the program for Kansas, and then we expanded it to share with all of our states in Region 7, in EPA Region 7. So a little bit about Wichita State, the Environmental Finance Center. Why is Wichita State coming over, Kansas College coming over and talking to Missouri? And well, actually, the Environmental Finance Center located at Wichita State is actually the Environmental Finance Center for all of EPA Region 7, which is Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and Missouri. Each EPA region has an Environmental Finance Center, and they're typically connected or housed at a university. And so yours just happens to be at Wichita State. And so we're lucky enough to get to serve 4 awesome states, and we just love what we do and serving our communities. The mission of an environmental finance center is just to come alongside communities and help them tackle environmental challenges, whether it's in water, wastewater, stormwater, solid waste management. We're doing some food waste projects. Air quality, it runs the gamut. We'll take on any environmental challenge, but then we also connect that how to pay questions. That's where the finance part comes in of our organizational name. How do we pay for these things? So we always try to insert that how to pay question. For this project, it's more, how do we get more folks into the water and wastewater industries or workforce so that our communities can have great water utilities. Some of the services the EFC provides overall, we do training, technical assistance, and applied research. So this is just one of those, this project kind of combines all of those. And so we're going to do a little bit of engagement. So you're just not having to sit there and listen. So if you hover your mouse over kind of over the top Zoom bar, you're going to see an annotate button. It's a little pencil and the word annotate underneath. If you click that and then click over to text, you can type on my screen. So I just clicked text and you can see my thing. And so tell me about why you love the job that you're in. Why do you love your job? Is it something about the mission of the job or a specific task you love to do? Is it a benefit you get from your job? So again, you just hover over the toolbar, click annotate, and then text, and then you can type here on the screen. All right. Or you can, if that doesn't work for you, you can also type your answers in the chat. So feel free to do either one. Is everybody able? Oh, there we go. I'll move mine. Oh no, woo, I'm going off screen here. Here we go. Oops, I didn't mean to cover yours up. I was going to move mine. I don't know if I can. All right, because I love rivers and stream team volunteers are the best. Life is better on the river. I like that. I don't know what this one says. It's too covered up. Again, feel free to type in the chat if you'd like to do that. Oh, so if you kind of hover your mouse at the top or the bottom, the toolbar will pop up. Chris said, I love my job because I get to work with passionate individuals who care about streams and watershed. Somebody's retired and gets to do whatever they want. So it's the people. I'm getting people and getting to be outside, not having to, a lot of this work isn't, sit at the office, on the computer. Flexibility, being outside, people. Awesome. All right. So keep that in mind, those things that help you really love your job. And I think if I do this. Okay, they stay, so I have to clear the annotations. Clear. There we go. Ooh, okay. Sorry, I haven't been the driver before. Usually there's someone else who does the technical side, so I'm feeling very technically savvy right now. All right, so here's a question. We're starting to think about drinking water utilities, wastewater utilities, those folks that give us clean air, clean water, or clean drinking water and clean wastewater back into our communities. So here's the question. You're doing the same thing either in the chat or with annotate text. What do you think keeps, if you are a water utility manager, what would keep you up at night? What are the things about your job that, or the stresses maybe from the inside or the outside that might keep you up at night? What do you think? And you don't have to know, just your best guess kind of looking at the industry. Oh, yeah, click on the text one. So the draw gets crazy. I can't write with my mouse. It's impossible. I'm going to throw one up there that I know. All right, changing regulations, staying in compliance, water quality. Am I doing my job well enough to meet the standards? So like being sure that things are safe. Disgruntled citizens, of course. Nobody wants to pay their water bill, right? Everyone gets mad when they try to raise water rates. All right, decaying infrastructure in old urban areas like Flint. And actually, someone said that if you looked at the entire water and wastewater like infrastructure across the US, it's like needs to be on, what someone said, it needs to be on Medicare because it's all, past its, most of it's past its useful life. Not that if you have retired, you're past your useful life, but it's like past the time that, we're trying to extend its life, all that infrastructure. So yes, so they did a survey, the American Water Works Association did a survey to water and wastewater operators and asked like, what are the things that are the most stressful for you? And they identified, number one, renewal and replacement of that infrastructure, that aging infrastructure, funding, because we got to pay for all that. And nobody, again, wants to pay high water rates. So you're always fighting for funding. The long-term water supply, so water quantity issues, the public's understanding of the water, and then the workforce, and specifically the aging workforce. The average age of a water utility operator is 60. So we've got a lot of folks with a lot of institutional knowledge working at our water and wastewater treatment plants, and they are on the verge or already retiring. There's not enough young people or people coming into that industry to take their place. And so finding good quality workers is a high priority for water utility operators, which is why we're here and talking about this issue with everybody tonight. Oh, no, I just want to flip the slide. Okay. See what let me, there we go. So why do we care about this? Well, there are only a few people on Earth out of the billions of people on Earth that know how to do that cleaning of our water so that we can drink it, or cleaning up our wastewater so we can put it back into our environment and complete the water cycle. And without those people, our businesses wouldn't go anywhere, our schools would be unsafe, our homes wouldn't be safe if we didn't have those people doing their jobs at the water and wastewater treatment plants. So these people are pretty important, and we want to make sure that we take good care of them and we make sure there's good people who work there. So this is the silver tsunami. So like I said, a lot of folks are coming into retirement who work in the water field, and we want to, this is kind of how those water utility operators feel. Like it's just this big tsunami that's just gonna crash over the top of them and it's going to be bad. And we don't want the folks who are nearing retirement to feel this way, that their retirement will be stressful or a hazard to their community. We want our water utility operators, the folks that have been doing an awesome job for our communities for many years, to surf out of their job and feel confident that they're leaving their communities in a good spot with good people. So that's where the Work in Water, what the Work in Water program wants to do is to really help the baby boomer generation retire in style and fill those positions with good quality workers that are passionate, just as passionate as the folks that are leaving. Again, I heard someone talk about in a conference that I went to that more than doctors or pharmacists, the drinking water and wastewater operators are the #1 protector of our health. We only go see the doctor a couple times a year. We'll see the dentist a couple times a year, the pharmacist, same thing. But we are drinking water that is monitored and vetted by our water operators every day. So without them, we would, there's a lot of information about, folks who live in countries that don't have water, clean drinking water, and like the health impacts that has on and the missed work days and the chronic illness that people have when they don't have clean drinking water. So we want to make sure that we have good folks in these jobs, our #1 protectors of our health. So where do we find these talented people? Well, they could be working in the field, working somewhere out there, and they could shift jobs. However, we also need young people to learn about these jobs. And so that's where we decided we needed a campaign. We needed something kind of like Rosie the Riveter, some campaign that shows the value of drinking water and wastewater operators, and how great it is, what a wonderful job it is, how fulfilling it is, how stable it is, good paying job, all those great things about the water and wastewater operators. So we developed the Work in Water program. Oh, I went the wrong way. We got a bunch of professionals in the field together to think through what we needed to talk about and to try the program. And we tested it out in Kansas. And again, then we decided it worked well. And we were like, this is good. We want to share it. It's going across all 4 of our Region 7 states. And actually New York is also starting to do the Work in Water program in New York too. They adopted it as well. So what is the program? It's got 3 parts. The first part is the classroom activity. So, and I'll show you where you can find all these resources that you can use that are specifically made for Missouri for you guys. But the classroom program is the water utility connects with the classroom and students, high school students, and basically puts on an 1.5 to 2 hour interactive session. There's a PowerPoint. We give you the script, all those good things. You can do it at your water utility. If you have a big conference room, you can do it at the school. I've done them at the school or at like a civic center, any place there's, some tables and chairs students can gather around, because there's teaching, but then there's also hands-on activities. So it's fun. These girls are they made their own drinking water filter. So we're talking about how the drinking water plant treats drinking water in that activity. Then there's the field trip. So you do the classroom activity and then you do the field trip. We like to go to the water and wastewater treatment plant if there are both in the community. So, it's fun to go see all the, the big basins and where the water goes and how it flows. And I think taking everyone to the wastewater treatment plant is a really good educational experience. And I think there's an ick factor, but as the students see the process and how it works, it's actually like way more interesting than the drinking water treatment plant, because it involves microbiology and little bugs that eat your poo. And you get to talk about poop for like 2 hours while you tour the place. And it's really fun. And the lab is really fun. So be sure you go to the wastewater treatment plant. Don't avoid it just because, it might have an ick factor, because plus the people who work at wastewater treatment plants are the funnest people. Not that drinking water people are boring or anything, but like wastewater treatment plant folks are fun. And then there's the internships. We did the classroom stuff, and then we took them on field trips. And then those students that participated in both of those things have the ability to apply for an internship at the utility. and the utility takes on the intern. It's usually in the summer, but you can make it work however you want. We'll talk about that a little later. And they just have an internship experience. So there's the mentoring, the hands-on, really getting that student to engage in all the parts and pieces of the utility, drinking water, and wastewater. And we'll dive into each of these a little bit more. So the students that we've been doing surveys all along, because when you get a grant from EPA, you have to prove that you're doing the things that you say you're doing and show them results. And so we've been evaluating all along the way, and we have those evaluations that are easy to use, and so you can use those too. So if you get a grant or you just want to try to convince your city council that this is a great idea, we'll have all those evaluation things. You don't have to come up with them. We've done the hard work. You just use them. So, but the students said 42% of the students said they learned about a career during these activities, the classroom event and the field trip, that they learned about a career they might be interested in. So that's pretty good. 60% said that they would tell their friends about it and encourage them to attend next year. And then 90% said they thought the program was important. So just like learning about the water and wastewater treatment process was important. And then the school counselors, so we worked with school counselors a lot, and 100% of them said that it was a good use of their time to take a day out of school to do the classroom experience and the field trips, and that they would recommend it to other teachers and counselors, so for other schools. So I think it's a really fun way to introduce kids to the value of water utilities and potential careers. Oh my, this thing is like going on its own. Okay, so as stream team volunteers or stream team folks, you might need to convince some people that this is a valuable use of time, a valuable use of effort. Why would a utility want to take on this project? Because it is going to take staff time, staff effort, that and then depending on is there money to pay the intern and that kind of thing. So here's some ways to convince a utility to get on board. Helps with recruitment. Not only are you potentially recruiting those students in the classroom, but they're going to go talk to their parents. Their school counselors going, as an adult, is going to talk to other of their friends. It's a great way to recruit. We actually had one of the counselors that went on the field trip of the wastewater treatment plant in Wichita say, man, I might have gotten into the wrong career. I might, this wastewater treatment plant thing might be a second career opportunity. So, and after this school year, she might be doing it. And then it focuses career interest on your industry. So if a community is struggling finding, passionate, qualified people for their utility or any of the public services that they have, this is a great way to highlight those jobs that are available. Provide some short-term support. So if you're a little short-handed, an intern could provide some additional capacity. It fosters leadership skills in the current staff. If you're trying to build up someone into management, they could be the mentor of the intern. It builds community relationships. So reaching out and partnering with the schools, creating that school partnership out into the community is positive. This is a great way to get more people. If maybe there's a rate increase that needs to come soon, the more people that understand what the water utility does every day, the better for, the more folks understand that process and how important it is, the better for the support of the water utility. And then offers fresh perspectives. If you've got a workforce that's all over 40, and I'm including myself in that as over 40, we might need some fresh ideas, fresh energy coming in and being a part of the team. So those are just some ways to maybe get a utility on board. If that doesn't work, we've got some videos on our website, and I'll show you our website in a minute. This is Dan Riney. He's the water utility director at Ottawa, Kansas. And I'm just going to let him share about his why he values and participates in work in water. Let me know if you can't hear this. I'm hoping. You can't hear it? Okay. Hmm. I wonder. Okay, I'll just send you all the link and you can watch it later. But he's great. And even he's so passionate at the end, he gives you his phone number. And I think it's his cell phone number. So he's serious about this. You know, if you have questions or want to talk to him, or you have a water utility you're trying to convince and they just need to hear it from someone that knows what they do, call Dan. Oh, no. Okay. So first we get the utility in our local community to be excited and interested in doing this project. And then we have to go recruit a school. So, you know, it's a local school. Sometimes we went to the public school and they weren't quite as interested. And so we went to parochial school. So, you know, if one school is really not interested, it's okay. Just move, you know, find another school nearby. Don't let it be one and done. Even if it's not the school from your community, maybe it's a nearby school. Peer pressure the other school to be like, oh man, we're missing out. You know, um, so getting schools on board, the way that we found the most impactful is actually recruiting the counselors. When you connect the water, you see how what I did here, connecting the water utility to the school counselors. Um, School counselors, college and career counselors, not school counselors, college and career counselors, their job is to help students make the transition from high school and beyond. Colleges put a lot of money and they have all sorts of resources from colleges, but those college and career counselors have students they know aren't super interested in college. And actually, right now, this next generation is very wary of going to college just for the experience because they saw the millennial generation, like the generation before, go really into debt and then not able to pay that off as quickly because, you know, downturned economy. And that, you know, not as many jobs out there. And so they're pretty wary. They're only going to go to school if they know that they can get a return on their investment for what they're trying to do with their career. So this is a really good way, a good opportunity for the counselors to have some really quick jobs to give to their students who just want to dive into the career field. So, or go to a 2-year school, get a water operator certificate, and then go back to work. This gives them some really practical things that they can show their students that are stable, which is huge for the next generation. They're going to be looking for stable jobs. They're a pretty wary generation, and I don't blame them. So they look for stability, good paying jobs, benefits. Those are all things that are really important to the next generation, and we can play those up when we're talking to them about our careers. And the school counselors will know that, and those school counselors know their students really well and can identify those students that they can pull in to be a part of this program. And the school counselors, you know, students in science and engineering, even those college bound ones can attend, you know, talk to the counselors about the types of students. You know, it's just, we want all varieties of students to participate. And those school counselors are really good at identifying who would be interested and really good about being in this program. Or if you have a great connection with a teacher at the school, like a science teacher at the school, dive into that too. You know, take the easy path. If you don't have a teacher, try the school counselor. If you've got a teacher, you know, maybe the environmental biology class wants to come and do the program. Maybe it's a chemistry class and you want to really focus in on the drinking water chemistry, or maybe it's a biology class and you focus on, you know, or environment or ecology. Whatever it is, you know, find the niche for that school and just use it. All right, so you want to be a real sharp pencil because schools, especially right now, schools have a lot of competing demands. And we can talk at the end about COVID and how that's impacting this program. But, you know, in a perfect world, in a regular year, still, schools have a lot of competing demands. They don't have a lack of programs that they can participate in. They're not teachers are not out there just like looking for something for their students to do. So when you go to the school, you need to be ready and have kind of everything in place and not rely too much on the school to do things like you need to make the schedule, you need to reserve the bus or whatever transportation, unless the school. So about half the time when we were working on this, the teacher would be like, or the counselor would just be like, let me do the bus. Going through me, it'll be easier and, won't cost anything or will cost less than you trying to figure out a bus, which is fine. Let them do that part. They know that process. But the other half of the time, the counselor or the teacher was like, no, I don't have time. You need to figure out the bus. And so I would be the one contacting the bus company and setting up the bus. Some schools, especially in smaller schools, they have their own bus and it's free and you just drive around. It's actually the bigger communities where the bus is pretty expensive and you have, most schools, all schools, you have to have the students ride a bus. You can't just throw everybody in your 15-passenger van for your utility. That doesn't work. There's a lot of insurance things. But you need to be that sharp pencil in the sea of unsharpened pencils. So be really ready with all the details for the school. And you can work with the utility to get those done. So how do we schedule this thing? It's really wide open. Make it work for you. With Work in Water, there are no hard and fast rules. So you just make it work for the community to meet the goals that you have for the community that's best, and then that work in the schedule. So we've done full day events. We've done 2 half-day events. We've done early start. So like a couple of schools had like 0 hours. So we would meet at like 7 in the morning and go until like 10. And so they'd only really miss maybe 1.5 classes. If you have a small group, you can have everybody do the same thing. Let's see, I think that, yeah. So, if there's one group, you can have everybody kind of on the same schedule. If you've got a bigger group, because at a water tour, a tour at a treatment plant, you don't want any more than 10's even a big group to tour, because some places are really loud. And so if you've got a group of 10, those kids at the back aren't hearing anything that you say. So the smaller the group, the better. And so if you need to divide students up, groups of 40, you definitely want to divide them up and, have one group do the classroom part first while the other group does the field trips, and then eat lunch together, and then the afternoon swap. Easy cheesy. So, these are just some examples of schedules. And again, these I'll show you online where you can find these, and then you can just make them work for you and the utility. All right. So the toolkit for schools, I'm just going to pull up the website. It's at wichita.edu, and I'll put this in the chat. It's wichita.edu/workinwater. And so this is the main page. It's a Wichita State page. So of course we have to have the big coronavirus thing at the top. Keep scrolling down, the fun stuff's to come. So Work in Water resources for utilities, click on that. You've got logos that you can just download and use. The Water Publicity Toolkit, I'll click on that in a minute. There's email templates. So emails, you don't have to start from scratch. The worst thing that for me is like starting with a blank page. So I try to give you as many templates as possible. And then you just edit it to make it work for you. There's posters and flyers that you can download about, if you set a date and the counselor is recruiting students, they can put up flyers to see if, students want to join in to the Work in Water event. So, or we call it the Work in Water experience. So there's posters that you can download and just change the date. Let's see, we'll click one. So Leslie, our graphics design person, does a pretty good job at these. Yeah, so like the counselor could just plug in, call Miss Smith or stop by Miss Smith's room in 410 or whatever it is, and the details about the school and the date can go here. So those are all downloadable and easy to use. There's all the PowerPoints and the scripts to go with the PowerPoints, and that's next week. We'll go over the PowerPoints together, which is the classroom activity stuff. And then all the stuff about the internship is here. There's that sample application, interview questions you can use, all sorts of good stuff. And we'll talk more about that later. But this Water Publicity Toolkit, or Work in Water Publicity Toolkit, has all the templates. It's got an Instagram post that the counselor can post on Instagram if their students follow them, or they can post it on the school's Instagram page. Yeah, there's template emails that you can use. Here's I think this is the email, so it looks really nice. There's the posters you can post up. Yeah, here's the Instagram post and all the scripts are there. So all the things that a counselor or teacher would need to excite the students to get them to want to participate and sign up to do this. If it's not through like a classroom or like just the whole class goes, but if you're trying to recruit students to sign up to participate, there's a Snapchat filter, because students don't use Facebook nowadays. So we had to, there's some videos that you could link and use, and I think those are coming later. So I'll show you those in a little bit. There's even, if you've got a teacher that's interested, pre and or post event lessons that they could use in the classroom. And then, if a student needs a, research project, or they're really interested, there's some fun research things that the students could go to for more information. So all this is available on the website. And we wanted to just make it as easy as possible for you to engage those students and provide this to the school. So again, you're that sharp pencil with all the stuff ready to go. Yeah, and so that's Iowa's logo, but on the website you have your own Missouri logo. We talked about all that. Oh, here's the video. Oh, you're not going to be able, oh, this is the fun one. So you don't even need to hear the music. So just fun things that a counselor could post up on their Instagram or on their Facebook page and use to recruit students. There's another video, and you can play that at your leisure. That one's really fun and just promotes water careers. It's a little longer. There's lesson plans. Didn't even need to go to the website, but it's all there. All right, so when, again, messaging out to the schools, what's going to get a school? School's busy. Kids have 8 million things to do, 8 million extracurricular activities. What sets this opportunity apart? Here's some messages that might resonate. STEM careers are huge. If you can connect, of course, this is all about STEM careers, as science, engineering, technology, and math. So, using that as, they need a STEM career experience, that we've got it right here. It's a great paying job right out of high school. We're connecting classroom and careers. And then the internship opportunity, I think, is a big sell to schools. So they can't say no, right? It's too great. It's too wonderful. Transportation, we kind of already talked about this. Make plans early. Teachers, one school that I approached, you had to know at the beginning of the semester if you were going to take a field trip anytime that semester. So even though we were doing our event in late April, early May, we had to know and reserve that bus in January. So connect with the school early, work with the utility, figure out pick a date for the event, and then you can be sure to reserve that bus. Costs, again, can really vary. In my experience, the bigger cities, the more expensive. But again, we have some funding. The EPA Environmental Education Grant has some mini grants. So we have up to $2,500 available for communities that want to do this for the first time. So I'll in the chat before we go, and I'll be sure Mary gets it and she can email it to everybody. We have a link to the internship. I'm sorry, I'm getting all my words confused. It's late. A link to the mini grant application. And so you submit that to us. We've got, I think we have $6,000 left in our mini grant bucket that we can use to give out to communities that do this. So you can use that funding to pay for the buses. You can also use that funding to pay for an internship. Give it to the utility to help them pay for an intern or pay for buses, or both. So we want to make this kind of pilot. The first time you do this, we want to make it as smooth and easy as possible so that it can be really awesome, so that in future years, the utility is interested in funding the intern on their own, and the school is willing to maybe pay for the bus, or maybe the utility is willing to pay for the bus. School probably won't be, they don't have any money. The utility might be able to pay for the bus, or you can get maybe an environmental engineering firm to pay for the bus and sponsor the day. Sky's the limit. Plant tours, always the best part. Who doesn't love walking around outside, looking at big clarifiers and all sorts of fun stuff? This is more for the utilities, and I'll make sure that you have this presentation so that you can, if you need to share these things with the utilities for the plant tour, you can. Just preparing for them, make sure you kind of spruce it up, people are coming, you're getting company over to your utility. Make sure you clean up, making sure the signage is good, make sure that, bathroom sign is, easy to read and see. Prepare all the staff. Like, usually you don't have 40 students tromping around the plant. And so if you do, let all the staff know that they're coming so they can be prepared and ready to share their story with the students as they pass by. Because that is the most impactful part of this work and water experience, is having everyone at the treatment plant talk about how they got into their career, what they love about their career. A lot of times I had no idea I wanted to work in the wastewater treatment plant, but this is how I got started, and this is how I worked my way up. And, and students are going to ask, how much money do you make? Make sure that the staff know that, be prepared to answer that question. If they don't want to answer that question, they don't have to, but have them be prepared with an answer enough to be, enough to live in, my family of 5, or, or just tell them, like, students want to know. They're pretty practical, especially as they get older. Plant tours, show them the basics. They don't have to be able to run the plant after the tour. They just need to see it, talk about how important each part of the process is to making sure their water is clean, and that everybody is safe. Visit the labs, do hands-on stuff in the labs. That's the best part. So really talk to the utilities and promote the fact that, you want to do something, not just, look at it, but, go to the lab, do a lab test, have some students practice, putting on the PPE, whatever it is. Show them the break room, all that fun stuff. Oh, and make it interactive. Have some slides ready at the wastewater treatment plant. Our first work and water intern, Lorraine, who has a great video. Go onto the website and watch her video. It's awesome. She talks about how, doing the work and water internship actually directed her future career choices. And now she's at Wichita State doing civil engineering to design water treatment plants. But the whole reason she decided to do the work and water internship is because they had slides out of the microinvertebrates. And so she looked at the slide and saw a little water bear, which is really rare. Those little guys that look like vacuum faces, so cute. Google water bear. But they're, some of the little really great microorganisms for eating up our wastewater, or cleaning our wastewater. And that convinced her she wanted to work there over the summer. That was going to be awesome. So have those kinds of things ready. Water taste test, all sorts of stuff like that. So these are the interns we had in Kansas. The first and second year we did the program. Again, they were amazing. Each of them were very different. Amanda from Garden City, she was super cerebral. She stayed at we have in Garden City, they have a reverse osmosis portion of their drinking water treatment process. And she stayed longer, and while the rest of the group went to the wastewater treatment plant to talk to the water operators that do that, because the chemistry of that was so intriguing to her. And so, it's just really interesting what gets students really excited about these things. But they get excited, and they love being involved, doing meaningful work at the water treatment plant. That's Lorraine's video. Go back and watch it online. It's so good. So when you talk to the water utilities, again, this student's going to be hired by the utility. So they're going to be an employee of the utility. So work with the human resources department, figure out what needs to be done. Do they need, we want them to go through the process. Part of the internship is learning how to apply for a job, how to get a job, how to interview for a job. So, do it as closely matched to a full-time person as possible. If they have to go and take a drug test, send them to take a drug test. That's okay. Follow all those HR things, get HR on board from the beginning to let them know and help shape the process. Choose an interview panel, but don't have like 14 people because everyone's excited about the intern. 2 or 3 people at the table to do the interview is plenty. Not quite as intimidating. Review the applications, do the internship, and just remind the utility that they're not hiring their next operator. They're hiring an intern, someone they want to shape and mold. They're not going to come in knowing anything about how to do the job, but you want them to be curious. You want them to be problem solvers. You want them to be energetic and passionate about learning. And so those are the types of things that you're looking for in the interview. Ask them questions about projects they like to work on, about, what's an activity that you've planned or something that you've, learned on your own, stuff like that, that shows that they have, they try things on their own, and they can, you can give them a project and let them do that on their own and they'll follow through, that they'll arrive on time, ask them questions about being on time, those sorts of things. And you'll feel it. The students are amazing. We didn't have one dud of an intern. Even the other kids we interviewed and didn't get the job, they were all amazing. It was really hard to pick. So this is just the most fun part of the program. During the internship, provide a broad range. You remind the utilities that they're not hiring a summer worker. This isn't someone that just needs to mow lawns and do the painting all day. This is an internship. We want to give them the broad range of all the different things that happen at a water or wastewater, and both of them. We don't want them to spend time at the water treatment plant, the wastewater treatment plant. We wanted to send them to a city council meeting where they talk about funding for the water and wastewater treatment plant, send them to billing, have them go around and check meters, all the different things. Give them a full smattering. You can give them, computer work to do. That's part of the job too. If there's a project that they can help with throughout the summer, give them a kind of a long-term project. That works too. Especially, if there's times when there's not a lot going on and you've just got to answer emails. It gives the intern something to work on besides just sitting there watching you answer emails. Talk about what to expect. The interns want to feel valuable and not just like they watch people work all day, but they want to be workers and providing value to the organization. So be sure that you talk, if they're not able to do something, talk about what you're doing and why you're doing it. And if you assign them something, talk about why it's important, how it's part of the process, that kind of thing. That even if something kind of feels mundane, it gives them a purpose. This is not mundane. This is a part of keeping people healthy and safe. So check in frequently. Don't, let the intern kind of go for 2 days 3 days without, saying, how you doing? What projects are you working on? What things are you learning? That kind of thing. Kind of constantly check in. They're high school kids. They just want to make sure they're doing the right thing and doing a good job. So, and recognize their hard work, at the end of especially at the end, maybe a little pizza party or cake or something in the break room with everybody to say goodbye. If they're doing great work, just let them know that they did a good job on a project throughout their internship. Everybody likes an attaboy or an attagirl. Possible internship things they could do, all the different, maybe they haven't gotten their social media off the ground. They can do that in a heartbeat. All sorts of stuff that they can do. These are some potential challenges that we've heard, from interns. There's a big age difference. And that's okay. The experiences are different. When you're kind of training the utility staff to work with an intern, let them know, have them talk about the differences in their growing up. When I was a teenager, I had to, my phone was stuck to the wall. Do you have a phone? Or, I don't know. Figure out ways to talk about your differences, but in a fun way. Not like, when I was your age, I walked uphill to school both ways. Nothing like that. Just like shared experiences. Be sure to share. I always encourage the mentors of these interns to share about how they got their jobs, about times when they flopped big time on a project or something they were supposed to do, and then how they fixed it and how they made it better. Tell stories, because the student might come in and be like, especially the younger generation is petrified of making a mistake. They feel like they just can't make mistakes. And obviously we all know that's not true, because if you can't make mistakes in the job, I wouldn't have a job, because I make mistakes all the time. Tell them the stories about the mistakes, tell them about the great things you've done too, but also don't forget to kind of be real with them. Spend time with them. This may be the first time these students have had a job that they've had to show up on time. So really make the expectations clear. And if they're not meeting those expectations, circle back, talk about it again. This new generation, the younger generation, they've just been raised in a different time, and it's promptness isn't necessarily something that's been ground into them like it was maybe when we all went to school, or because everything is spur of the moment. I mean, they can flip on a dime and be somewhere and be ready to work, and they'll probably be willing to work any time of day or night, but being there at a specific time every day might be something they've never done before. So have some patience, make the expectations clear, and just encourage them. When they're doing a good job at it, let them know. When they're flopping, let them know. But just be prepared that those things might come up. Some of them also might not have a car, so you need to talk about transportation in the interview. Do you have a way to get to work? If they don't have a car or a way to get to work, how would they need to figure out how to solve that problem, but you may need to kind of guide them through that thought process too. Capstone projects, this is something really quick. Our electricity went off today, so I have no idea what time it is. Oh, okay, I'm gonna talk faster. Capstone projects are something you can add on to an internship. It can be anything, and this is a good way, like, again, if you need to answer emails, you can send the student off to go work on their capstone project. It's something that they work on throughout their internship process. And it can be anything. That was the student's internship process. You can see that online. Evaluate, again, we're going to give you all the evaluation tools so that you have them, so that you can make the case to continue this year after year. You know why we evaluate. I don't have to tell you. It's valuable to take the time to do it. And this is why we do it. We want to make sure that we're ensuring the future of our water utility. So we're working hard to create awareness, create support, and then make sure we've got a good workforce. Couple of lessons learned, I think, that are important to bring up. Take pictures. We forgot to take the entire first intern. We didn't take any pictures of her doing her job. So we had this amazing intern, superstar, no pictures of her doing her work. And this was like not in 1984 where we had to like find a camera. We all had cell phones. I don't know what we were doing. So the only pictures we have are of her presenting at our state conference, which was awesome. But it's like her in front, she did a 45-minute presentation in front of water professionals and killed it, did a better job than I have ever done in a presentation in my life. But so these like boring pictures of her like in a conference room, that's all we have. So we got better the second year, but don't forget to take pictures. The other thing we tried to do was an Instagram contest for the students that participated in the classroom part. We're like, hey, we'll give you a $50 gift card if you post on Instagram why you think water is important, and or why water utilities are important to your community. We thought that would be a great way to evaluate the impact we were making on these students. We did it in 5 locations across the state. We probably talked to over 150 students. 3 of them did it. It was crazy. I'm like, we are giving you a $50 gift card. What are you doing? I'll do it. And it was like to Amazon, Chipotle, like places the students would like, they just this generation, they're not going to go off brand. So if this is something for school, they're not going to do it on their social media. It's just not what they'll do. So epic fail, just thought I'd let you know. I'm going to stop there for tonight. Next week, I'm going to walk you through what that presentation and classroom session is like, and then talk a little bit about that side of things. But is there any, I sped through that really quick. I hope it made any sense whatsoever. Do you have any questions about the program? Again, it is totally adaptable. You make it work for your utility and your school that you're working with. Take the parts and pieces that work and use it.
So Tanya, I think we have our second session scheduled for this Thursday. I just want to double.
Oh, that's probably true.
At 7. I mean, if that doesn't work for you, we can do next Tuesday and let everybody know. But
no. Yes, that's right. Okay. I don't know what I was thinking. We did a food summit this morning, and that's next week. This one is Thursday. I will be there 7 o'clock right here, Thursday.
Perfect.
Yeah. So any questions? Concerns? Oh, Jenna's raising her finger. Wiggle your mouse like at the top or the bottom. There you go.
I was looking for my mute button. Just a quick question. All your lesson plans, were they aligned to the standards? Your learning standards?
They were not. Okay. With the high schools, well, first of all, our Kansas was in the process of changing them. So we're like, we're just going to avoid that. And then because we were working through the college and career counselors, that wasn't as much as of a barrier for like their efforts. And so we just didn't do that. Not that we don't accomplish standards, because we do within that. I'm going to talk about watersheds and non-point source pollution and water cycle, all sorts of stuff like that. We just haven't taken the time to align them.
Okay. I just know that's a big thing teachers don't like to mess with either. So if they're already ready to go, it saves them time from doing it as well. But yeah, no, yeah, good to know.
Hey, this is Chris Riggard. Did you happen to see any differences in participation rates based on like community size? Because as you were going through this, I had several wastewater. You're right. Their wastewater folks are different than drinking water folks. Wastewater folks that I think would jump on this. Mm-hmm. But there's a couple that are in some fairly small communities that have expressed interest in stuff like this in the past. But I was curious as to what your experience might have been on how that played out.
No, our smaller communities still got, Ottawa's, with Dan Riney, the guy that did the video, his is probably the smallest community we worked with. And he still got, 15 to 20 kids at a time. It's just, but even with a small group, I think even with 5 kids, it's worthwhile. Actually, with smaller schools, I think the communication was better. And so the students actually knew more what to expect. With the bigger schools, a lot of times the counselor just wasn't able to connect with the students as clearly to know what they're getting into. So actually with the bigger schools, I feel like they were most of the day, they were like, why are we here? What is this thing that we're doing? So yeah, I didn't see a big difference in participation. But I do know our Nebraska school is in a smaller community. They haven't done their actual event yet because COVID hit. So we trained a lot of people last year, and they were all getting ready to do their events in the spring of 2020, the end of the school year last year. And so all of our 5 events, the work and water experiences all got COVIDed. So, we're hoping that by next spring, they'll be able to do it. So, but I do know that that community was going to invite other schools to join them to kind of like make a group, make a big, 20-person group. And then I think maybe they were even going to go to 2 different plants. And even if it is just a wastewater treatment plant tour, that's okay. You can make, a really fun day out of, just visiting one plant. Maybe they have they can bring the truck in that does the video of the lines, and you can play with the little drone thing that goes in the sewer lines, or show pictures of all the crazy things they find in the water sewer lines. Yeah, you can make it really fun. All right. Well, thank you all for spending time with me this evening. I will see you on Thursday. I will send to everybody the mini grant application just so you have it. And I will also send these slides to you so you have the ones that I've already done. And then we'll get together on Thursday and go over what we do in the classroom experience part. So.
Tanya, will the recording be available? I have a conflict Thursday night.
Yes. Yeah. I'll record it and save the recording, and then and then I'll give them to Mary and she can distribute them.
Great.
Or post them somewhere or whatever, because they're kind of big. I'll have to figure out how to get them to you. Or maybe I'll just post them on our Work in Water page, and then you can get them from there. Mm-hmm. That might be the easiest. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you Thursday.
Thank you, Tanya. Good to see everyone.